Welcome back to Radio Entrepreneurs. I'm Nathan Gobes, filling in for Jeffrey Davis this morning. I want to thank first MTP Software, the leader in sports and entertainment CRM. We're really thankful of the studio they've built for us here in Natick. And then I want to introduce our first guest today, Michelle Horlbogen, founder of the Gentlewoman Boss. Welcome, Michelle.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So, Michelle, I understand that you've got a really good message that you're trying to put out there with the Gentlewoman Boss.
I think so, and a lot of other people do too, apparently. So I'll give you a little of the background.
Yeah,
Would that be good? So about 6 months ago, I brought a few ethical concerns of mine to the attention of my superiors, and 2 days later, I got fired.
Wow.
And yeah, it was a wow. I don't know if you guys have ever been fired, but it's not fun, especially when it's more wrongful termination. So after reeling from that for weeks, literally, it was bad. I woke up one day and I just decided I had to pivot. I had to find a way to take what happened to me and try to find a way to help people with my experience. So I actually went on LinkedIn and I wrote this long post, maximum character space, just telling people, hey, I got fired and this is my story, and has anyone else been through this? And I need to hear from you. And then I signed out. I logged out because I was like terrified. What was going to happen.
Yeah.
And a few hours later that evening, I logged back in, and the worst thing you want is no one to reply,
right?
Because then it's like, oh, I really screwed up. But I had the actual opposite. I had my inbox was flooded. I had people put amazing, pretty neutral comments on the post itself, because of course everyone's in self-preservation mode if they're going through it at work. But it just ended up being like this catharsis for me, and I replied to every single message and answered people and started to follow people. My network, I had cut it way down because anyone that was affiliated with my previous employer, I just disconnected with them. I didn't want anything to do with that on my network.
Understandable.
So I was way down, like 120 connections, and it just blossomed. It was like the best thing I could have ever done, and I met people from all over the world, and unfortunately what was a help, but what's sad about it is so many people have been through a similar situation, and so that was comforting in a way, but also made me feel a little more like I had to advocate about this, because it's just not right. It's not right when you try to do something ethically right in the interest of the organization and you get punished for it. That's not the equation I think companies should be sending out.
Right. And so now I understand you're launching a podcast.
I am.
And you're getting the word out there about how people should be handling these kinds of matters. Is that correct?
Yeah. So I actually Friday I interviewed. It hasn't dropped yet, but I interviewed Pete Havel, and he's the author of The Arsonist in the Office, which if anyone is in a toxic work environment or dealing with scary people at work, it's a great book to read. It's really amazing, from corporate executives down to you're the newest person. But Pete talks about in his book that everyone thinks of the whistleblowers, like with the political climate today, all this attention on federal whistleblowers. That's sort of a category in and of itself, and they're protected. There's laws that protect them. But Pete calls people like me smoke detectors in the office. So in real life, right, like right now, if it went off, we would be grateful that smoke detector was working to save our life. So why is it in corporate America that when that smoke detector goes off in your office, they get kicked out the back door, punished for it? It doesn't. So that's sort of the line of reasoning I'm approaching it at, that people, staff members have to feel safe enough to speak up, which I did think I was safe enough, but apparently not.
Right.
And also, if they know that behavior will be punished, or that they're going to lose their livelihood and they can't provide for their family, that's you're basically letting your organization burn down because you're not listening. So I interviewed Mr. Havel, and yesterday, actually, coming out with this live, I interviewed David Meltzer.
Wow.
And I forgot to record the interview.
Oh, no. We've
so
done that one before.
I cried for like an hour. Oh, you have?
Yes, we have.
Okay, that makes me feel
There's
much
a few
better.
past guests. If you're listening, sorry about that.
I know, because you feel like you just can't repeat that that
Right. Once you get it in the moment, it's...
yeah. So, but his assistant was amazing, and she's like, he promises he will reschedule with you. So he's amazing. He is
That's
a true
good.
gentleman. So this is how my concept of the gentlewoman boss was born. The qualities that define a gentleman or a gentlewoman. You know, when you look at them, integrity, ethics, character, loyalty, all those things that define a gentleman apply to men or women regardless,
Right,
and
of
especially
course.
in a professional setting. So sort of approaching leadership styles and corporate culture from that angle. And obviously culture's huge today. We've got the away luggage scandal. We have something going on with Boeing right now.
Just a little something.
Just a little in the pharmaceutical industry. This huge $875 million thing going on. Again, someone that took a personal vendetta of someone just trying to protect the company and spent company funds. So culture is huge right now, and covering up wrongdoing is not the way to go anymore, because it's a different world now. There's Glassdoor, there's Indeed, there's
Right.
social media, and people
Right.
can talk, and employees are speaking out. So I'm just hoping it can kind of be a platform for people to share their story. Of course, everyone that's reached out to me, I've promised anonymity, because I don't want anyone to risk their livelihood.
Right.
But sharing things with people, giving them courage to speak up, and how to go about when something's going on, how to handle it. Like, I obviously didn't handle it in the best way. You know, you learn as you go.
Yeah.
I mean, I did what was right, but the
Yeah.
channel I took, I thought I was safe to, but I was not. And there's just, that's
Yeah,
part of...
employees need to have appropriate channels that they can take things in.
Exactly. So just trying to create awareness on the topic. Right now, it's more just an advocacy platform. If I can make money at it someday, that would be great. I am also writing a book about my experience.
Great.
And, but again, turning it on a positive note about leadership style and really bringing civility back to the workplace and the way we treat people. I think it's super important.
Yeah, and it sounds like even just from your opening post, and now as you've started to get the podcast going, that you've got some good responses online. Some
I
people
have
who
them.
have, like you said, shared their stories and empathized, sympathized, or can speak with their own personal experiences.
Yeah, and I think everyone, we hear a lot about risk management in corporate America, and I think that's a reactive. At that point,
Right.
if you're managing risk, you're already in trouble. So risk prevention is a better way to go, and preventing these situations from happening is by being aware of what's going on and hearing your employees, even if they're dissatisfied, or listening to their issues. That can go a long way. I mean, think about at what point will an insurance carrier say, this is enough?
Right.
This client is now costing us too much money to insure, because of retaliation lawsuits and litigation and all those things. And again, that's a very real thing today in 2020 that employers and organizations need to consider. The Glengarry, Glen Ross days are over.
Yes.
Over.
And I think what you said is important, because I think if a lot of companies that don't have risk prevention, as you put it, when it comes time for the risk management part of it, usually their response tends to be sort of a slash and burn kind of aspect. They hadn't thought of how to deal with it, and then when lightning strikes, they just kind of want to put up the blinders and hope if they can sweep it under the rug and clear things away. But not only is that not how things work, but also tends to result in more negative interactions. Not only with the if there's an employee in question in the situation, but also the rest of the culture of the team. I'm sure that you may not be able to speak to it, but I'm sure the rest of the team members at your previous employer have felt the shockwaves of somebody leaving in the way that they forced you out.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, when that freeness of speech is squashed, or not even getting into the whole non-disclosure agreement
Right.
issue part of it, that you're creating a culture of fear, and it's very bad for company morale. People are afraid they don't want to share information they have. They don't want to to be team players. It's every man for themselves. It's just not a healthy culture. And that hopefully just giving people a platform to talk about it, make it okay to talk about it. You know, everyone talks about their achievements and their awards, and I did this. Well, women struggle more with that because then we sound like we're bragging. But, you know, in the workplace, people tend to share their achievements, but it's very frowned upon
They don't
to talk
share
about
their struggles and, the
or
pains.
yeah, exactly. So I think it's just to make it a little more civil and have those, let those conversations be respected and the people be respected. I've gone through it. It's a difficult thing to go through.
Yeah. And I know that, of course, we've mentioned it a bit here, but you talk about, you know, the being a proper gentlewoman or gentleman in the workplace. And do you want to maybe talk just for a few moments here before we wrap about, you know, what kinds of things, what sort of aspects should a person of that nature have? You know, what are the right, what's the right way to be?
The qualities.
Yes,
like,
thank you. That's the word I'm missing here. What are the qualities of a
So-
gentlewoman or gentleman?
Yeah, so when you look up the etymology of the words and everything, they go way back, and it was obviously a much more genteel time. I do have this follower on LinkedIn that reminds me that it wasn't all, you know, tea and roses back then. There was slavery
Yes.
going on, all these horrible things. I get that. But in general, you know, people held the door open for people. A lady would go first into a carriage. It was just a certain gentility to society and civility.
And I think those best pieces are what we are trying, you and the rest of society are trying to carry forward into modern day and how to be a gentlewoman or gentleman.
Right, and to be aware of your the way we interact with each other, the effect we have on people. Respect is huge. I actually asked the two I interviewed. One of my last questions on my podcast is, what quality of a gentleman or gentlewoman do you think is most important to emulate? And Mr. Havel said respect, because we agreed that's like a great equalizer, no matter who's in the room, if everyone's being treated with respect. And then Mr. Meltzer said kindness, which is totally how he is. He's just a love. And that's true too. You know, if you're just kind to people, things like that sound so simple, but you know, we don't often see a lot in the real workplace. So just going back to those simple basics of thoughtfulness, thoughtful behavior.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's, you know, as we've said, really important today, and I think lost a lot. This has been great. I want to remind everyone we've been speaking with Michelle Horlbogen, founder of the Gentlewoman Boss. Michelle, if somebody wanted to find your podcast or perhaps connect with you further, how could they do that?
So my podcast is on iTunes and Spotify, and I know a lot of the other auxiliary ways to listen as well. So you can download there. Downloads are the best because that's what they notice. And my website is thegentlewomanboss.com. You can follow me on social media at gentlewomanboss. And my email, everything's on the website if you want to get in touch. And I'd love to hear from people. Tell me what you think and share your story.
Great. And we'd love to have you back further to talk
would be
about this
great.
more. You know, I think this is definitely a conversation that no matter what level of business you're at, whether you're the top of the organization, even at, you know, a new hire, as you said, I think this is, you know, these are qualities that everyone should emulate or try to emulate, and a conversation that everyone should be having. So thank you.
Thanks, I appreciate that. Thanks for having me.
You're welcome. I want to remind everyone this is Radio Entrepreneurs. You can find us, of course, on radioentrepreneurs.com. We're also on iTunes and YouTube and Google Play and LinkedIn as well. We'll be back with more interviews of entrepreneurs after these